Major Case True Crime Investigations. In each episode, we delve into the details of significant criminal cases from around the world. Through meticulous research and narrative storytelling, we aim to uncover the truth behind these major cases.
In 2016, Zhu Xiaodong killed Yang Liping during an argument and hid her body in a freezer, creating the illusion that she was still alive. After 3 months of concealment, he turned himself in on his father-in-law's birthday. He was ultimately sentenced to death. The story takes place in Shanghai, one of the most economically developed cities in China. Located at the mouth of the Yangtze River, it is a bustling metropolis with a permanent population of over 24 million. For over a century, Shanghai has served as China's commercial and financial center. Highly modernized, it continues to attract people from all over the world. In the northeastern part of Shanghai's central district lies Hongkou District. Covering an area of 24 square kilometers, it's named after the Hongkou port. In one of the older residential neighborhoods on Guangzhou Road in Hongkou lives a newlywed couple. The husband, Zhu Xiaodong, is 29 years old and works as a sales clerk at a department store. His wife, Yang Liping, also 29, is a Chinese language teacher at a primary school. To outsiders, Zhu Xiaodong is handsome and charming, while Yang Liping is gentle, elegant, and virtuous. They appear to be the perfect match, a golden couple. But is that really the truth? The story begins on an ordinary day in 2017. It was Wednesday, February 1st, 2017, the 5th day of the Chinese New Year, also known as the day to welcome the god of wealth. That day also happened to be the 60th birthday of Officer Yang Ganlian, a police officer stationed at Shanghai Railway Station. He is the father of our story's central figure, Yang Liping. Many friends and relatives had come to celebrate his milestone birthday. According to prior plans, his daughter Yang Liping and her husband, Zhu Xiaodong, were expected to return home that day for the celebration. But strangely, neither of them showed up. It's worth noting that Mr. Yang hadn't seen his daughter in nearly 6 months. They hadn't spoken on the phone during that time either, only exchanging the occasional message on WeChat. This day was special, and Yang Liping's absence was out of the ordinary. Something like this had never happened before. In recent weeks, Mr. Yang and his wife had tried calling their daughter multiple times, but most attempts went straight to a busy signal. Even on the rare occasion when the call connected, there was only silence on the other end. Through WeChat, their daughter explained her phone was broken and she couldn't hear voice calls. Once, when Mr. Yang tried to invite her out for a meal, she declined, saying she was busy or out of town and couldn't return. A few days earlier, Yang Liping had sent a WeChat message to her mother. "Mommy, we're spending the Chinese New Year in Hong Kong with some friends. We'll be back on the 2nd day. Message me on WeChat if you need anything." But now it was already the 5th day of the Chinese New Year, and still no word from their daughter. Mr. and Mrs. Yang were beginning to worry. After all, on such a significant day, their daughter would never miss it, no matter how busy she was. And the fact that they hadn't seen her for several months only deepened Mr. Yang's unease. Something didn't feel right. At around 5 p.m., Mr. Yang contacted Zhu Xiaodong's mother. On the phone, she said, "Something happened to Liping. We're at the police station. You should come." Mr. Yang and his wife immediately set out. On the way, he kept trying to comfort his wife. But when they arrived at the police station, they were given devastating news. Their daughter had been killed. Yang Liping was born in November 1987. She was 29 years old and a native of Shanghai, an only child, cherished deeply by her parents. Her father, young Ganlian, was a retired soldier who later became a police officer at a local precinct. He was close to retirement. Among her 3 female cousins of the same generation, young Liping was the youngest, the family's precious gem. She had a gentle temperament, never raised her voice, never got into fights. Even when she felt wronged, she would simply find a quiet place to cry in secret. After graduating high school, young Liping was admitted to the Chinese department of Shanghai Normal University. She was the quietest and kindest person in her dorm. During her time at university, she only got upset once, when a classmate forgot to tell her about a computer exam, which caused her to miss it and take a makeup test. But by the next day, her mood had returned to normal. After graduating, she became a Chinese language teacher at the elementary section of the affiliated school of Jin Yuan Senior High School, one of the top schools in Shanghai. Landing a teaching position there wasn't easy, it required multiple rounds of competitive selection. Yang Liping was known for being responsible and dedicated to her work. Over time, she was promoted to homeroom teacher. Her classes were lively and engaging, and she knew how to guide her students' thinking step by step. In a public class recording from 2014, young Liping's teaching was vibrant and full of life, showing a strong connection with her students. However, young Liping rarely shared much about her personal life or work with her parents. In fact, she sometimes even blocked certain WeChat Moments posts from them. When she first got the teaching job at the elementary school, her parents only found out about it because the school principal paid them a home visit. Young Liping had an idol whom she greatly admired, Miyavi, a Japanese visual kei artist. Miyavi had the number 382 tattooed on the index finger of his left hand, which was said to be a phonetic play on his name. Young Liping thought Miyavi was incredibly cool. To show her admiration, she even added the number 382 to the end of her Weibo username. In 2012, at the age of 25, young Liping was introduced to Zhu Xiaodong through a mutual friend. They were the same age, and after meeting, quickly discovered how well they got along. For young Liping, it was love at first sight. Zhu Xiaodong's handsome appearance was exactly her type. In her eyes, Zhu was just as cool as her idol Miyavi. In their second year of knowing each other, young Liping and Zhu Xiaodong began dating. However, her parents had no idea about the relationship. Nearly a year into their relationship, something strange happened. Zhu Xiaodong suddenly disappeared without explanation. Young Liping was extremely worried. She had no idea where her boyfriend had gone. When Zhu finally reappeared, it had been a full year. He told young Liping a dramatic story. He had been diagnosed with a brain tumor that was deemed untreatable. Feeling hopeless, he left Shanghai without telling anyone and traveled alone to Tibet, where he lived at the foot of a snowy mountain, drinking melted snow and surviving on wild rabbits. Over time, the pain in his head gradually faded. He returned to the hospital for a checkup, and miraculously, the tumor had disappeared. So he came back to Shanghai. Young Liping believed his story. She felt deeply moved by what he had been through and admired his courage to battle the illness alone. When she retold the story to her friends, her face was filled with admiration. She still kept the relationship from her parents until one day she attended a wedding and posted photos on her WeChat Moments. That's when her family found out she had a boyfriend. In the photo, young Liping was holding Zhu Xiaodong's arm and smiling sweetly. Zhu wore a white shirt and black suit with a purple flower pinned to his chest. He looked charming and elegant. Young Liping told her parents that Zhu Xiaodong was thoughtful, filial, and treated her very well. Sometimes, he even cooked for her. Her colleagues had seen Zhu visiting the school to help her put up bulletin boards or tidy up the classroom. To outsiders, they seemed like a loving couple, always holding hands when going out and sharing dishes when dining together. After publicly acknowledging their relationship to her family, young Liping began sharing sweet moments with Zhu Xiaodong on her WeChat Moments. For example, Zhu once got up early to try to secure the latest iPhone for her. Even though he wasn't successful, he still called the official Apple hotline to check for availability. Another time, he made her a nourishing breakfast of sea cucumber porridge. Despite these gestures, young Liping's family didn't seem entirely satisfied with Zhu Xiaodong. It wasn't until the couple was already discussing marriage that Yang's parents met Zhu in person for the first time. He visited their home for meals a few times, but rarely spoke. He would only answer questions when asked, and after eating, he would quickly retreat to young Liping's bedroom. At a family gathering, Zhu Xiaodong once declared in front of everyone, "Young Liping, I like her a lot. No one is allowed to scold her, not even her parents. Only I can scold her." These words, while seemingly affectionate, revealed Zhu's lack of emotional intelligence. Young Liping's parents were present when he said that, and it left them feeling uneasy. Her grandmother thought Zhu was smooth-talking and unreliable. Though her parents didn't like him much, they respected their daughter's choice and didn't try to break them up. On the last day of 2015, young Liping and Zhu Xiaodong registered their marriage at the Civil Affairs Bureau. In late May the following year, they held a small wedding banquet at the Marriott Hotel near People's Square. Zhu Xiaodong's family was not well off financially, so the couple didn't hold a lavish ceremony, just 7 tables were invited. At the wedding, young Liping didn't wear a traditional gown. Instead, she wore a white lace top paired with jeans. Zhu Xiaodong, on the other hand, dressed in a well-fitted suit. After the wedding, young Liping moved into Zhu Xiaodong's home in Business One Village, a residential compound in Shanghai's Hongkou district. It's an old community built in the 1950s. Zhu's family lived in building number 28, on the 4th floor, unit 404. Originally, Zhu's mother lived there with him. But after the couple got married, she moved out, leaving the newlyweds with the place. The apartment, Unit 404, had a total area of about 35 square meters. Upon entering, there was a small kitchen, 1 bedroom, a bathroom, and a tiny balcony. This type of layout is commonly referred to in Shanghai as a one-room household or Zhu Xiaodong had a rather unique hobby. He enjoyed keeping cold-blooded animals, such as lizards, snakes, spiders, and the like. At one point, he had over a dozen of them. He kept each of them in separate glass terrariums, lining them up neatly along the wall of their balcony. At first, young Liping wasn't fond of these creatures. But over time, she gradually compromised and even helped take care of them. Sometimes, she would even share pictures of them on her social media. Her parents once advised her to talk to Zhu and ask him to sell those pets. But she told them that Zhu Xiaodong wouldn't listen to her. Instead, she herself was very obedient to Zhu. She even mustered the courage to get a tattoo as a symbol of her love for him. The last time Yang's father saw his daughter was on October 1st, 2016. The newlywed couple had invited both sets of parents out for a meal. Sometime after that, young Liping returned to her parents' home with Zhu Xiaodong. But her father wasn't there, he had something to attend to. Only her mother was home that day. Yang's mother invited the couple to stay for dinner. But young Liping politely declined, saying they'd come again next time. That turned out to be the last time Yang's mother ever saw her daughter. On November 7th, 2016, Yang's mother received a WeChat message from her daughter. The message read, "Mommy, I plan to go traveling with Dong for my birthday. I'll treat you to dinner when it's his birthday." At the time, Yang's mother felt a bit puzzled. She knew the couple's relationship was good, but she had never heard her daughter refer to her husband as Dong. She thought maybe they had changed how they addressed each other, so she didn't give it much thought. Yang Liping's 30th birthday was on November 22nd, and just a week later, on November 28th, it was Zhu Xiaodong's 30th birthday. Yang's father and mother had planned to host a birthday dinner for their daughter, but for some reason, their daughter declined the invitation. Yang's mother wasn't upset, though. She thought it was just young people wanting to go out and have fun together, showing that their relationship was healthy. When Yang's mother asked in WeChat where they planned to travel, Yang Liping replied that they were thinking of going to Hokkaido, Japan, or Jeju Island, South Korea. The next day, Yang's mother sent another message to her daughter. She missed her and wanted to talk to her, so she asked Yang Liping to give her a call after class. But Yang Liping neither replied to the message nor called back. 2 weeks later, the day before Yang Liping's birthday, the family's cat, which had been with them for over 10 years, suddenly passed away. This was Yang Liping's favorite pet. Yang's mother sent a message to her daughter, informing her of the sad news. However, the only response from Yang Liping was a string of crying emojis, and she explained that she was out of town and couldn't come back. Afterward, Yang's mother repeatedly called her daughter, but each time, it either went to a busy tone or the call was abruptly hung up. At this point, Yang's mother started feeling angry and sent a message asking why her daughter wasn't answering the phone. Yang Liping responded with a series of excuses to brush it off. A few days before Christmas, Yang's father and mother, with knitted sweaters they had made for their daughter and son-in-law, went to their niece's house to wait for Yang Liping. Yang Liping's cousin lived in the same neighborhood. Since the door to Yang Liping's house remained shut, Yang's father and mother decided to wait at their niece's house. They went twice, but each time, their daughter said she was out of town. On the second visit, Yang Liping told them she would return from Wuxi, a city not very far from Shanghai, in the afternoon. However, Yang's father and mother waited until evening, but Yang Liping still didn't show up. Yang Liping then explained that Zhu Xiaodong had a mouth ulcer and was receiving intravenous treatment at a hospital in Wuxi, so they couldn't return in time. On the eve of the Chinese New Year, Yang Liping proactively sent a WeChat message to her mother, saying that she would spend the holiday in Hong Kong and return on the second day of the Chinese New Year to celebrate. At that time, Yang's mother joked that her daughter was a white-eyed wolf, which means an ungrateful person in China, blaming her for not keeping in touch with the family for so long. On the second day of the Chinese New Year, Yang's parents waited all day at home but didn't see their daughter. Yang Liping claimed on WeChat that her flight had been delayed and she couldn't come back. Her mother expressed dissatisfaction with her daughter's repeated broken promises. The time came to February 1st, 2017, the fifth day of the Chinese New Year, which also happened to be Yang's father's 60th birthday. Zhu Xiaodong's mother planned to attend the celebration at 3 p.m. However, at 1 p.m., Zhu's mother suddenly received a message from her son, asking her to come over to his house urgently. Worried, she called him, but the phone showed as disconnected. She then called her ex-husband, Zhu Xiaodong's biological father, asking him to check what was going on at his house, and she would follow up afterward. When Zhu's mother arrived at Zhu Xiaodong's house, she was shocked by the unbelievable news. Zhu Xiaodong told his parents that 3 months ago, he had accidentally strangled his wife, Yang Liping. His parents were emotional and asked why he had done it, but Zhu Xiaodong didn't respond. He kept repeating, "You think I wanted this? You think I wanted this? You think I wanted this?" Zhu's mother then asked, "Where is Yang Liping now?" Zhu Xiaodong pointed toward the balcony and said, "She's in the freezer." Upon hearing this, Zhu's mother was stunned. After a moment of composure, she advised her son to go to the police station and confess. Zhu's father and mother then took Zhu Xiaodong to the police station to surrender. When Yang's parents arrived at the police station, they were informed of their daughter's tragic death. The police revealed that Yang Liping had been killed 3 months earlier. The person they had been in contact with on WeChat wasn't Yang Liping, but their son-in-law, Zhu Xiaodong. The murderer of Yang Liping was none other than Zhu Xiaodong. Zhu Xiaodong, born in November 1987, was 30 years old at the time of the incident. He was from Shanghai. His family background was ordinary. When he was 8, his parents moved him into a residential community called Business One Village. However, his parents had a troubled relationship and often fought. At the age of 10, Zhu's parents divorced, and his father moved out. From then on, Zhu Xiaodong lived with his mother, and they relied on each other for support. After the divorce, his father remarried, while his mother raised Zhu Xiaodong alone. She had to work and take care of her son, often feeling overwhelmed. Later, Zhu Xiaodong's aunt and grandmother tragically died in a car accident, and his mother took on the responsibility of caring for her sister's daughter. This left her with even less time to spend with her son. Lacking parental care, Zhu Xiaodong became increasingly absorbed in video games and his academic performance plummeted. During his middle school years, he was involved in a group robbery on Nanjing Road Pedestrian Street. He was caught by the police but was released after being educated since he was a minor. After graduating from middle school, Zhu Xiaodong entered a vocational school, but he mostly passed the time there without acquiring any real skills. At the age of 19, Zhu Xiaodong left school and entered society. He worked at several department stores but never lasted long at any job. Zhu Xiaodong was not completely useless. He had one advantage: his good looks. His mother often boasted about her son's handsome appearance to others. Zhu Xiaodong paid great attention to his appearance, especially his clothes and hairstyle. Those who came into contact with him could smell the scent of his perfume from a distance. The neighbors also had a good impression of him, thinking of him as a polite person who always spoke in a soft voice. However, according to one of Zhu Xiaodong's high school classmates, he was not always so attractive. In high school, Zhu Xiaodong weighed 190 pounds and was a chubby guy with poor social skills. He would even blush when he saw girls. After graduating from high school, Zhu Xiaodong decided to lose weight. Neighbors would often see him running laps around the neighborhood. As his weight dropped to below 130 pounds, people started complimenting him on his looks, and from that moment on, Zhu Xiaodong's inferiority complex turned into narcissism. In 2007, at the age of 20, Zhu Xiaodong was eager to break out of mediocrity. He signed up for a singing talent show organized by Dragon TV in Shanghai, a program known for launching the careers of several major pop stars who remain household names in China today. After joining the competition, Zhu Xiaodong, with his delicate face and melancholic eyes, gained a following of fans who dubbed him their prince. However, aside from his good looks, Zhu Xiaodong lacked real talent. His singing and dancing skills were not impressive, and he was eventually eliminated from the competition. It's now hard to trace which round Zhu Xiaodong was eliminated in. His old posts can still be found on Baidu Tieba, a popular Chinese online forum similar to Reddit or early Facebook groups, where users gather around specific topics and communities. In his self-introduction, he wrote, "I like the stage, I like singing." The photos showed him with a cool expression, and he used the English name Red. It seemed that Zhu Xiaodong enjoyed being the center of attention. He loved posting selfies online, asking people to vote for him, and responding to comments from netizens. After being eliminated, Zhu Xiaodong had to face reality. He returned to the department store and continued working as a salesman. He often quit after working a few months and moved from one store to another. Eventually, Zhu Xiaodong decided to work at a foreign-owned department store, where he earned a monthly salary of around 3,000 to 4,000 yuan, which, at the time, was considered a very low income in Shanghai, where the average monthly salary hovered around 3,000 yuan. Having once brushed against the entertainment industry, Zhu Xiaodong was unwilling to live an ordinary life. Though his income was modest, he had a taste for the finer things, indulging in nightlife, spending lavishly, and often taking friends out to clubs to enjoy a carefree lifestyle. With his striking appearance, Zhu Xiaodong attracted the attention of many women, and slowly, he began to realize that this could be his shortcut to success. Zhu Xiaodong started to frequent nightclubs more often, even borrowing money or using credit cards to buy expensive clothes and jewelry to dress himself up, creating the image of a wealthy man. He targeted rich women and began associating with them, living off them, using them as a means to make money and spend lavishly. In the name of romance, Zhu Xiaodong also started dating multiple women at the same time. His frequent high spending led to a considerable amount of debt. In 2012, at the age of 25, Zhu Xiaodong met Yang Liping, who was of the same age. Their birthdays were only a week apart. Zhu Xiaodong quickly noticed Yang Liping's exceptional beauty, particularly her large, captivating eyes. He also realized that Yang Liping was innocent and easy to manipulate. However, Zhu Xiaodong didn't immediately pursue Yang Liping. Instead, he kept their relationship ambiguous. At that time, Zhu Xiaodong was in a relationship with another wealthy young woman. Zhu Xiaodong even had a tattoo on the inside of his arm that read, "Red Enter, Endless Love, January 17, 2012. The red referred to his English name, and the A represented the wealthy young woman he was seeing. January 17, 2012 was the day Zhu Xiaodong met her. More than a year after meeting Yang Liping, in October 2013, Zhu Xiaodong was still dating the wealthy young woman A, while simultaneously starting a relationship with Yang Liping. Zhu Xiaodong would sometimes take A to his friends' gatherings, and at other times, he would bring Yang Liping along. He seamlessly moved between the two women without either of them noticing. While dating Yang Liping, Zhu Xiaodong was still in debt and would occasionally mention his financial struggles to her. Perhaps blinded by love, Yang Liping, without hesitation, took out her savings accumulated over the years to help him pay off some of his debt. She was almost convinced that he was the man she would marry. That year, Yang Liping introduced Zhu Xiaodong to her parents, but they were not satisfied with him. They found him too slippery and unreliable, so they opposed their daughter's relationship with him. However, trapped in the vortex of love, Yang Liping refused to listen to her parents and was determined to be with Zhu Xiaodong. On the last day of that year, December 31st, 2015, Zhu Xiaodong and Yang Liping officially registered their marriage. After marriage, Yang Liping moved into Zhu Xiaodong's home, and Yu's mother moved to live with relatives. To outsiders, they appeared to be a loving newlywed couple, but there was a side to their relationship that no one saw. According to Zhu Xiaodong, Yang Liping often argued with him over trivial matters, sometimes about the food, sometimes about the things he bought. Yang Liping had often told her friends that her husband, Zhu Xiaodong, was somewhat petty. He didn't like her socializing too much with her friends and was very controlling, not allowing her to attend gatherings alone or interact with men. This led to several arguments between the couple. On one occasion, Zhu Xiaodong even uninstalled WeChat from Yang Liping's phone. Similar incidents had occurred before their marriage. One time, Yang Liping posted a Weibo message saying, "A few days ago, I deleted WeChat. If you need to reach me, text or call." No idea how many people are still alive on Weibo. Female accounts seem safe for now, but male users are at risk of being removed. In the next 48 hours, Weibo is likely to fall too. he has started deleting people one by one. This isn't a drill, it's a war without gunfire. From her words, it was clear that Zhu Xiaodong had a strong sense of male chauvinism and a double standard. He was overly strict with his wife, while he himself had no self-discipline. Only 6 months into their marriage, young Liping discovered that Zhu Xiaodong was maintaining ambiguous relationships with other women. Zhu Xiaodong even pretended to be single and secretly went out on dates with some of them. When young Liping found out, she had a huge argument with him. Confronted by her, Zhu Xiaodong promised to change and even knelt down, asking for her forgiveness. He wrote a guarantee on a piece of cardboard with shaky handwriting, which read, "I promise you're the only one. I promise never to message anyone else or contact anyone. You can check my phone every day, handle my phone however you like, and check the records anytime." Signed, Zhu Xiaodong. In the bottom left corner of the cardboard, there was another line, "If I have done this, let's burn charcoal and die together at home." Zhu Xiaodong explained that this line was added because, when young Liping previously discovered his infidelity, she had threatened to commit suicide by burning charcoal, which led him to write this. However, the guarantee proved useless. Zhu Xiaodong continued to secretly flirt with other women. Apart from the infidelity issue, money was also a source of conflict. The couple was living in the old house left by Zhu's mother. Young Liping suggested renovating the house, but Zhu Xiaodong had no money to contribute. He told her to pay for the renovations herself. The frequent arguments left Zhu Xiaodong mentally and physically exhausted. He didn't have much affection for young Liping to begin with. His choice to be with her had initially been based on financial reasons, but now that she was no longer willing to spend money on him and kept restricting his freedom to indulge, Zhu Xiaodong began to contemplate divorce. Only 2 months after writing the guarantee, on August 25th, another argument erupted between the couple. After the argument, they went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to begin the divorce process. However, upon reaching the bureau, young Liping threatened to kill herself, and before the procedure could be completed, they returned home. To young Liping, she didn't want to end the marriage hastily. She believed Zhu Xiaodong was a kind person, only occasionally making mistakes, and that he could change. What young Liping didn't know was that after this divorce dispute, Zhu Xiaodong began to entertain the idea of killing her. The day after the failed divorce attempt, Zhu Xiaodong bought 2 books online, Death Dissection and Philosophy of Death. These books contain descriptions of strangulation and hiding bodies in a freezer. Zhu Xiaodong then ordered a 202L freezer online and placed it on the balcony of their home. The space in the house was small, so in order to make room for the freezer, he sold 2 of his pet pythons. He also purchased a surveillance camera, which was aimed directly at the freezer. This way, whenever someone approached the freezer, Zhu Xiaodong would receive a notification on his phone. At the same time, Zhu Xiaodong's foreign-owned department store, which had been suffering from losses for years, was preparing to withdraw from the Chinese market. Not wanting to wait for his company to lay him off, Zhu Xiaodong decided to quit on his own and stayed at home, unemployed. Zhu Xiaodong lied to young Liping, telling her that he had been performing excellently at work and that the company was sending him to Hong Kong for training with a salary increase to 20,000 yuan per month. He urged her to quit her job at the school and accompany him to Hong Kong. Initially, young Liping hesitated, but after Zhu Xiaodong's constant coaxing and persuasion, she eventually believed him and agreed to resign. That afternoon, young Liping, accompanied by Zhu Xiaodong, went to the school principal's office to submit her resignation letter. To the school, young Liping's resignation seemed very sudden, with no prior indication. Just that morning, she had been teaching her students as usual. After the principal took the resignation letter, he inquired about the reason. Zhu Xiaodong quickly spoke up, stating that he would be going to Hong Kong for work and that his wife, young Liping, would accompany him there to live. The principal, after understanding the situation, tried to persuade young Liping to reconsider, but during the 15-minute conversation, she remained silent, saying nothing and showing no sign of reluctance. After that meeting, the principal was left with a strong impression of Zhu Xiaodong, feeling that he was not an ordinary person. Later, the principal spoke privately with young Liping, advising her to discuss it with her parents. He also mentioned that if she ever changed her mind, she could return to teaching at the school. Perhaps afraid of worrying her parents, young Liping didn't tell them about her resignation. 5 days later, she posted a message on her WeChat Moments, blocking her family. She mentioned that she was handling her resignation and that her husband was treating her very well, which made her feel a bit uneasy. After enjoying a large meal, Zhu Xiaodong even asked her if she wanted to buy clothes. Young Liping posted 5 pictures of food. A few days later, young Liping told the principal that her parents had agreed to her resignation, which was untrue. Her parents had no idea about it. On October 14th, young Liping completed all her paperwork and officially left the school. That day, she even visited her parents' house but said nothing about her resignation. Her father and mother had no idea. The next day, Zhu Xiaodong took the newly unemployed young Liping on a trip to Hangzhou. However, once there, they had an argument. According to Zhu Xiaodong's version, the argument was about not booking a hotel that satisfied young Liping. This issue cut their trip short, and they decided to return to Shanghai the following day. During the return journey, Zhu Xiaodong failed to buy high-speed rail tickets, only managing to purchase regular train tickets, which led to another heated argument between them. Once back home, Zhu Xiaodong continued trying to comfort young Liping, but his efforts proved ineffective. The tension between them had only increased. The day after returning to Shanghai from Hangzhou on Monday, October 17, 2016, at 10 a.m., Zhu Xiaodong had just opened his eyes when he heard his wife nagging beside him. Feeling extremely irritated and unable to bear it any longer, he grabbed young Liping's neck with both hands and strangled her until she stopped breathing. Zhu Xiaodong took a quilt cover from the wardrobe, stuffed young Liping's body inside, and then placed it into the freezer. Afterward, Zhu Xiaodong cleaned the scene and disposed of the mattress. He transferred 45,000 yuan from young Liping's Alipay account to his own, maxed out her credit card with over 100,000 yuan in purchases, and took out small loans in her name totaling more than 200,000 yuan, amassing over 500,000 yuan in total. Using young Liping's ID, Zhu Xiaodong checked into hotels with various women, spending all the money on travel, shopping, and other extravagances until it was completely gone. To create the illusion that his wife was still alive, Zhu Xiaodong used young Liping's WeChat to send text messages to her friends and periodically updated her moments with new posts. Whenever someone called or sent a voice chat invitation, Zhu Xiaodong would respond in young Liping's tone, claiming her phone was malfunctioning and that she could only communicate via text. The night before turning himself in, Zhu Xiaodong played Honor of Kings all night, from 10 p.m. until 4 a.m. the next morning. During this time, he stepped out once to throw young Liping's phone and ID into a river before returning home to continue gaming. Late that night, Zhu Xiaodong attempted to take his own life using a clothes drying rack on the balcony, but the rack broke, forcing him to abandon the attempt. He waited until dawn. That day was his father-in-law's 60th birthday, and Zhu Xiaodong knew he could no longer keep up the facade. After a long internal struggle, he confessed everything to his parents. Accompanied by his parents, he went to the police station to turn himself in. Upon hearing about their daughter's tragic death, Mr. and Mrs. Yang were profoundly saddened. They expressed deep anger towards Zhu Xiaodong's actions. They refused to accept any apologies or compensation from the Zhu family, instead hoping that Zhu Xiaodong would face legal consequences. On the other hand, Zhu Xiaodong's mother, upon discovering that her son was the perpetrator, was also extremely saddened. However, she believed her son's actions were unintentional and not premeditated. In her eyes, he was a quiet and shy person, and she found it hard to understand or accept that he would commit such an act. She hired a lawyer for him. When the lawyer asked why Zhu Xiaodong did not try to help Yang Liping, he explained that although he had considered calling for help, when he saw that Yang Liping was unresponsive, he felt frightened and helpless. He then spent 3 hours observing her, confirming that she was indeed dead. 1 year later, the case was brought to trial at the Second Intermediate People's Court in Shanghai. Zhu Xiaodong was charged with intentional homicide. During the trial, Zhu Xiaodong explained his relationship with the victim, Yang Liping, and how he concealed her body. However, while he admitted to hiding the body, he denied the charge of intentional homicide. Zhu Xiaodong stated that he bought the freezer to store frozen mice for his pet snakes and lizards. The lizards needed a mouse every 3 days, while the snakes ate one per week. Due to the irregular feeding schedule, he needed to freeze the mice for preservation. As for the 2 books he purchased, The Death Dissection Table and The Philosophy of Death, Zhu Xiaodong said that they were chosen by Yang Liping. He didn't have a habit of reading books and had never read those books himself. Zhu Xiaodong explained that he strangled his wife because he was extremely angry. She had started nagging before getting out of bed, and he just wanted her to stop. However, he accidentally killed her. The defense attorney argued that Zhu Xiaodong committed a crime of passion triggered by domestic conflict rather than a premeditated act. He claimed that the offense posed limited danger to society and that Zhu Xiaodong's voluntary surrender should be considered as grounds for a lighter or reduced sentence. However, the prosecution disagreed. After investigation, it was found that the delivery address for the 2 books was not his home in Hongkou district but his father's house. After the books arrived, Zhu Xiaodong went to his father's house to pick them up. Additionally, the method of committing the crime was highly similar to the descriptions in the books. As for Zhu Xiaodong's motive, it was based solely on his one-sided testimony, and there was no concrete proof to verify the facts. If Yu had acted on impulse, he wouldn't have calmly handled the situation afterward, indicating that this was a premeditated crime. Moreover, Zhu Xiaodong's confession occurred on Yang Liping's father's birthday, revealing that he knew he could no longer hide the crime. After being persuaded by his parents, he felt compelled to confess, suggesting that if he could, he would have continued to conceal the truth. Therefore, the prosecution argued that there should be no reduction in his punishment. The court found that the defendant Zhu Xiaodong intentionally killed his wife, resulting in her death, and his actions constituted the crime of intentional homicide. Despite the case being triggered by marital and family conflicts and Zhu Xiaodong's voluntary confession, the court ruled that his crime was severe. After committing the murder, Zhu Xiaodong concealed the victim's body for an extended period. During this time, he used the victim's money and ID to travel, booked hotels with other women, and indulged in lavish pleasures, showing no remorse. His actions posed a great danger to society, and his crime was extremely serious. Therefore, the court decided not to reduce his sentence. After the trial, the Shanghai No. 2 Intermediate People's Court delivered its verdict. Zhu Xiaodong was found guilty of intentional homicide and sentenced to death. Unwilling to accept the ruling, Zhu filed an appeal that same afternoon. Following the first instance verdict, Yang's father posted just 3 powerful words on Weibo: "Justice has arrived." Afterward, the family visited Yang Liping's grave and burned a copy of the court's judgment, hoping to bring peace to her soul in the afterlife. 1 year later, the Shanghai High People's Court rejected Zhu Xiaodong's appeal and upheld the original verdict. Following a final review by the Supreme People's Court, the death sentence was officially approved. In an interview with the media, the second instance judge revealed that on the morning of the crime, after killing his wife, Zhu Xiaodong ordered round-trip tickets to Seoul, South Korea, at 12 p.m. He then called a few friends at 2 p.m. and went out to a bar to party and celebrate that evening, lasting until the early hours of the next day. His actions did not align with someone in a panic after a crime of passion. Instead, he calmly handled everything, indicating premeditation. In June 2020, the criminal Zhu Xiaodong was executed, ending his life of crime after more than 1,300 days since his confession. Yang Liping's encounter with such a husband was undoubtedly tragic. Her parents lost their only daughter and were left to rely on each other for the rest of their lives. The small consolation came from the support and care of many kind-hearted netizens who often left messages on Weibo to check on and encourage Yang's parents. Everyone hoped they could eventually put aside their sorrow and live a strong and happy life.
Thank you for listening to Major Case, True Crime Investigations. If you found this episode compelling, please subscribe and leave a review on your preferred podcast platform. Stay tuned for our next episode where we will explore another intriguing case.